surrounded by technologies, but those technologies are focused on very finely tuned items. So for example, we have Zoom, which I'm using right now to record this, and also all the other Zoom-like products, WebEx and so forth. And what they're doing is they're focusing on the idea of online meetings. So it's very easy. You say, okay, how do we have an online meeting? There's going to be a speaker and they're going to control it, and there's going to be an audience. They're going to be able to ask questions. And so we're going to have online meetings. And then we get our new iPhone, and for the first time we push a button and we're talking with somebody that we care about, and it's pretty amazing. These things are the beginnings of real change that is taking place. And that real change is the move to what I call telepresence. Now, telepresence is different than a telemeeting or something. Telepresence is about being present. Let me give you an example. You're a student, you're walking down the hall, and you notice that Dr. Thomas's door is open. You wanted to talk to him about something because you had a question about something that was brought up in class, but you were too shy to raise your hand. And so you approach his office, and as you do, you notice that he's sitting in his office. And so you tap on the door, okay? And as you do, he says, come on in. And now all of a sudden, you're in his office, right? But you're physically there. And you can ask questions and you can discuss things and have some discussions that maybe you didn't plan on. Something you learned from that experience. Zoom needs to have a URL that's a special URL. And I can stick that inside of Canvas, someplace where it's safe. And it shows my video that I want of my office with me sitting in my office, whatever picture I want. And the student sees that and says, oh, look, Dr. Thomas is in his office. He clicks on the link and says, hi, Dr. Thomas, can I come in? And Dr. Thomas says, sure, come on in. Pushes a button and the student is in, just like this. And now you and your student can have this wonderful conversation, but there's no limit to how many people can join in that conversation. It's a sense of presence. And so presence is about what we need, is what we need to be focusing on, because it's the only way to really teach properly. Now, there is this word, accidents, A-C-C-I-D-E-N-C-E. Now, that's not the kind that ends in TS, in which there are vehicles smashing into each other. This is about the non-word communications that we use to communicate with each other. So there's the words, the text. There's the text of what we say. And that's the least form of accidents because it's just the text. At least if you can hear me speaking, you can pick up the accidents of tone, the tone in my voice. If you can see me speaking, you can pick up the expressions of my face, the gestures of my hand. And now you get a complete communication experience because you can pick up things like sarcasm and humor that you might not be able to pick up if you were just reading text. How can we leverage what we have today to make it as close to that as possible and to try to make these experiences real and a telepresence experience for the students? And so, of course, the first thing is, what are the technologies that we need? Well, we have to have a video camera phone so that we can do a lot of the recordings. I have an iPhone that's got a very high-end camera in it, and I bought a tripod specially designed so that I could do that. Let me show you this. Okay, here is my special tripod. Now, this tripod has on top of it an attachment, and this attachment holds my iPhone. Okay. Now, what's nice about it is I can pop this attachment off. Now, I can control my camera much better than I could when I'm trying to hold it. I move it up and down. And it has, the iPhone has self-regulating software to keep it smooth. But I can move this around and I can film things that I might want to film. And I can put it back onto the tripod when I'm ready to do some more recording, and I can do that as well. So it's a very inexpensive little plastic thing. I think it cost me about $10. The tripod was $15 for the tripod. So I used that to film my videos. What I'm trying to achieve is an experience for my students that is positive, that's interactive, and that has this feeling of being present so that they feel like they know their professor, that they can reach out and we can talk, that the lessons are palatable and concise and packed full of important information, but that they use graphics and other tools. I don't know if you noticed, but I use a musical interlude at the beginning and the end of all of my videos. It's only about 8 seconds long. One last thing I want to point out to you is I'm actually not in my office right now. I'm standing in front of my home green screen. That's it. That's my green screen. Now I have 2 special softbox lights that are shining on it that don't shine on me. And then I have 2 more softbox lights that are here and here, and they have warm lights, and those shine on me. And what I really like is I can put up graphics behind me, and just like the weather person, I can point to Frank the farmer, or I can point to Rosie the rancher. Once you've created this set of resources, you have an asset that you can then reuse for a long period of time, just periodically updating it as you get maybe a little older and you need to work on that. Once we've recorded the things that we want to record, then we have the challenge of editing that video. We don't want to just throw up some video that's got a lot of hems and haws and garbage in it. What we want is a very concise, well-edited video. That's a lot of work. So I use video editing software. In my case, I use iMovie. I'm familiar with it. It's so easy to use on the Mac. But Adobe Premiere is a much more professional version of that product. We all have access to that here at the school. But using one of those 2 products, I can now go in to take my raw video, and I can go in and remove all the hems and haws and all the things I didn't want to say, and I can put in graphics, text on top of it, and so forth. So I'm going to show you a couple of clips from my videos, very short, so you can get an idea of how I use different technology, and then we'll discuss it further. Is introduce you to the production possibility curve. In this case, what we're going to do is we're going to create a very simple model, a country that consists of 2 people, and they only produce 2 products. They're both involved in the production of agriculture, and what we have is Frank the farmer. Now, Frank is our first player in this economy, and Frank, he creates meat, and he also grows potatoes. Now, he's not very good at this, but he does his best. And in a given 8-hour period, Frank can produce 1 ounce of meat per hour, and he can produce 32 ounces of potatoes. Now, draw a line between those 2 points, and this is known as the production possibility frontier, the PPF, the production possibility frontier. It means he can't produce outside of that line. It so happens Frank doesn't like to live on just potatoes or just meat, so he wants to produce a combination of those 2. And in this case, he likes a 4-to-1 ratio. So he gets 16 ounces of potatoes and 4 ounces of meat. Let me introduce you to Rosie the rancher. Now, Rosie is very, very effective at what she does. She also raises cattle and grows potatoes. And what's interesting is that in any given 8 hours, Rosie can produce 24 ounces of meat. If she devotes the same 8 hours to growing potatoes, she can grow 48 ounces of potatoes. So 48 ounces of potatoes, that's her maximum point on the x-axis. 24 ounces of meat, that's the highest point for meat, and it's on the y-axis. We connect, and that is Rosie the rancher's production possibility frontier, PPF. And of course, she likes a 2-to-1 ratio. You might have noticed something. If we set these 2 graphs side by side, we can see that Rosie is better than Frank in every way. Rosie has what we call an absolute advantage over Frank. Editing these videos is very, very time consuming. But I have a resource as a result. Let me show you what it's like to edit one of these videos. This is the raw video here, down here, that I'm wiggling back and forth. This is the way it comes out of my iPhone. iMovie allows me to just simply import this in to my new video that I'm going to edit. Now I can go through this video and I can see where there are big pauses. And based on those big pauses, I can say, oh, that's where I had some trouble remembering what to say or whatever. And so I can scroll through these. And then what I can do is I can split out what I don't want. But then I want to show some things as I'm talking. So in this case, I wanted to talk about the basket of goods. Okay, so I can put up a band across the bottom. It says, I'm talking about the basket of goods. And that then is there for a little period of time. And then it says, okay, what's in the basket of goods? Okay, so here's my basket of goods. And I bring it up over my talking. And guess what? Housing, 41%. So then I say, okay, let's talk about how we add transportation to that. Another tool that we want to use, of course, is Canvas. Canvas does have the ability to do things like pop quizzes and testing. And it's also a secure environment because students can get in there and the other people can't. So within Canvas, I can put links to things that I don't have to worry about being found on the public sites. So here is my class as set up. Of course, I have my syllabus links, but I also have a syllabus video explanation. So they can look at this, and it's where I personally go through with the video, and I can bring it up behind me. I can go up and down and talk about it. So with the students, I can explain each aspect of the syllabus and have it there interacting with me while I'm talking to them either live or in a recorded session. Here's my virtual office for my office hours. All they can do, have to do here is just click, and then they can enter into the wait room. I can see them, and then I can invite them into my office. Not quite as good as I'd like it to be, but still not too bad. My office hours tend to be from 8 in the morning till 10 at night. So I offer a large number of hours because I have students in China and other places as well. Now here are my homework assignments and so forth. Now the homework assignments you're going to see are interesting because I use Cengage. Now Cengage has a link that connects with Canvas. And so the student clicks on that, and then it brings up their homework. And their homework is going to be interactive with different graphs, so asking them different questions about various subjects. For example, here's one on inflation and unemployment. They click on that one. It's going to bring up a series of questions that they're supposed to answer about that. And then if they get it wrong, it explains it and so forth. So now we have modules. Now modules includes all of the chapters from the textbook, videos, sample problems, graph building tools, and so forth. In the discussions, I have various subjects. These happen to be based on that week's topic. So let's go in, for example, look at gains from trade. So we'll click on gains from trade. And as you can see, I have about 12 videos, maybe 10 videos. And each one is about 5 to 10 minutes long. And then the students can go through and they can watch these videos, pause them, take notes, whatever they want to be able to do. And I break them into meaningful parts. Now I want them to watch these videos. So how do I get them to do that? The first one is they go away. They come up and they go away. And they have a certain amount of time to watch the videos before they're gone. And that makes a big difference for them. The second one is I embed extra credit questions in the videos. They don't know which one, but each week there's an extra credit question worth 1 point. And if they miss it, they don't get it. The third technique I use is to follow each video in the discussion board with a short online quiz. This means they have to watch the video and take the quiz to get credit for that part of their grade. And finally, I provide extra credit for students who post information in the discussion, either a question or an answer. And you could make this a requirement if you wanted to. When they click on the exam, they have a certain time limit based on the number of questions. When that time limit's up, it's done. So they have to move quickly to the questions. They have 3 days to take the test, anytime during those 3 days. When they go to take the test is scrambled, meaning everybody sees the question with its answers in different order. So they can't just copy it down and give it to somebody else. Secondly, they are going to know that my test is going to be so difficult that most of the students are going to get half of them right if they're lucky. And that means I'm going to be curving it. Well, nobody wants to help other people when there's a curve, because that can help them do poorly. So what I try to do is, when I'm asking questions, is I don't ask questions that can be answered through memorization. All my questions are designed to be answered through comprehension. So, for example, workers in the United States have a relatively high standard of living because the United States has a relatively high minimum wage. If you don't comprehend the impact of the minimum wage as an economic price floor, you don't know how to answer this question. And it's a true false. In other words, you've got 50-50 chance. I want to show you a couple of photographs of some different telepresence centers. One of these is in the Harvard Business School, and a couple are from Europe. But the point is very clear. The pandemic has made it impossible to establish a long-term solution that is hybrid. In other words, you're not going to be able to, with the fear of these things happening again, have these hybrid classes and have them be successful. The right solution is to have the person giving the lecture in a controlled environment where they can see a wall with all of the students with their names on them, see the students raising their hands, interacting with each other, and have all the tools behind them to be able to teach the class and provide PowerPoints, whiteboard, whatever it might be that they need to do. So you can see how this is being done at Harvard. This is how it needs to be established in the future. So that's what I have for now. I hope that's useful for you. And if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Thanks.